Afternoon, folks. Just a quick one. Friday coming up to Friday lunchtime. Foucault's pendulum, the one that proves that Earth has a wobble. Somebody mentioned it, and I was thinking that when I first set this up. Yeah. So a massive pendulum, and it actually gauges the wobble, how we spin and how it ends up going in a certain direction. So this one is repelling, and now this one is the attractor. So there's one of each. This is not about that. This is about something else. Which is why when you read it as a story, every now and again something goes ding, and I had a ding moment. Stars, right? The constellations. God, that wind's picking up. Constellations. Now listen to this. Where is it? I read this out last night, okay? But I don't read for the sake of reading, it's to understand what is being said. Now, long ago, possibly even before the dawn of history, men began to imagine that they could see patterns or designs in the groups of stars. One saw a bear outlined in the heavens, another a winged horse. Still others saw the figure of Orion, a mythical Greek hero of gigantic size. In many cases, the early stargazers imagined that they beheld other figures of their mythological heroes towering above them. And so, through the ages, the stars came to be divided into groups or constellations, of which there are now 89. Remember, and I said, oh, I don't know how many there are now. Apparently, there are officially 88. So that hasn't changed. The reason why it hasn't changed, the whole sky is filled with these star groups. There are no empty spaces left between the constellations, and they do not overlap. Each star belongs in a specific constellation, and each constellation has its own name. There are no spaces left. Over the centuries, over the ages this was done. You think about that for a second. You're telling us that somebody went, oh look, there's a bear. Boop, boop, it's those stars there. And then 20 years later, somebody else, oh, look, that one looks like a flying horse, Pegasus or whatever, etc., etc. Until there was only one gap left. No stars overlap. None are used twice. And somebody went, oh, look, that looks like, and it just so happened to use up the very last of the stars without overlapping onto another star. Every star has been used. Does that sound like it was something that happened over the centuries? Or does it sound like something that was just done overnight and then fed to the masses as over the centuries? This is what I mean by it's a story. History is a story. Now look at this. This is Pegasus. Now, if you look at the stars, I guarantee you, with those, whether it's the big stars, some go down to the hoof, you could have made anything that you wanted. You could have made a tank, or a skyscraper, or a dragonfly, or a fly, or a stingray. Those stars are not in the shape of a flying horse. They are just stars that when you put certain images over those stars, you can make it become anything you want. That was it. That's all I wanted to say. You think about that. What we are being fed is a story. It's a story that. Boom. Right, let's feed them this. Think about that. Every single star has been used. There's not a spare space there anywhere. None of them have overlapped. Every single star has been used up. Really? And that happened over centuries. And those last people went, oh, look how lucky we are. We've got those. And it just so happens to represent whatever it is that needed to be represented. All right, I will be back later on. Stay open-minded, folks. I'm telling you, we have been fed a story and all of the signs are there. All right, peeps, I will be back later on. Laters.